Welcome to Living with Purpose. And today we have a very different guest, somebody that has discovered, articulated her purpose very early on in life and is working towards really making the world a better place in how she shows up. I have with me Ashta Soni. She is studying at the University of California in Davis, and she's getting her bachelor's of science in psychology, but her goal is to actually be a pediatric psychiatrist. And she's doing a lot of work around affective mental health and mental health issues that we know students all over the world face. So please join me in welcoming Ashta. Ashta, so glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here and to meet and chat with you.
I know your mom very well. I know your dad very well. I have seen you at these events that your mom puts together. She is a paragon of leading with purpose with all that she does with her empowering foundation and the work that she's doing both in Seattle area and in India. But talk a little bit about what it is like growing up in that family, what you're doing today, and where you would like to go.
First of all, it's been a blessing to have parents like them that, have inspired me from a really young age to know what it means to build community. I think since they immigrated here and since I've been growing up, we've always been surrounded by a very good support system. And they have built a very good community for themselves. And from a young age, when my mom first started getting involved in nonprofit work, I think since then, she has brought people together in all shapes and forms, whether that be through businesses, through empowering women, through fashion, through just community service. And I think it's been so rewarding to see the impact that community has had on all these people, especially on myself. I think growing up with such a strong support system like them, I think it's inspired me to help foster that community in my own way, especially with the youth specifically that I see around myself. So it's been a great learning lesson for me over the years.
Talk a little bit more about some of the volunteer work that you've done with her, right?
Yeah.
And how you've been able to mobilize young people to get engaged. So share a little bit more in detail as to some of the work that you've done and how that has changed the way not only how you see the world, but how your friends and others see the world.
Yeah, starting around since the age of 13, I've been doing a lot of nonprofit work and volunteering a lot more. I was actually the founder of Rising Youth Board, which before we changed our name to Empowering, we used to be known as Ravishing Women. And so I was the leader of our youth board or youth initiative for that. And so I got together a group of middle school and high school students, and we would do community service anywhere in our areas. And this would entail anything from doing toy drives during the holidays for houseless and low-income children. We would donate groceries to families in need. We would write letters to delivery workers or to healthcare workers during the COVID epidemic, along with many more. And since we started, we have done so many projects, and I think we were most involved during the COVID-19 pandemic. During 2020, I think myself and all the other teenagers included, we truly saw the impact that community service has. We really got to interact with people that were in need during that time. And I think it was a very eye-opening moment that, even if we are teenagers or we're young of age, we still have a very significant impact that we can make in the world around us, even in small ways. Like during COVID, we would give out grocery boxes to communities in mobile homes and low-income families that either were immunocompromised, so could not go out and get groceries, or they just couldn't afford to buy food at the time to feed their families. And so me and a group of a bunch of either high school students, we would go to these mobile homes, we would go door to door, dropping off grocery boxes and getting to chat with the families a little bit. And some of the conversations we've had with these folks is so eye-opening. And it makes you really think, even as a teenager, that a small thing that you do can make a really big difference.
So clearly you've grown up in this community where you've been encouraged to show up, to participate in the community, to, be engaged and involved. Talk a little bit about what it is that you are doing, what career, what is your aspiration, and how you're showing up at the university.
Yeah. So, fun fact, I actually just graduated. I graduated back in June. So,
Oh, nice. Congratulations. I didn't know that.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I went to the University of California, Davis, for 4 years. I was a psychology and human development double major. And during my time, one, I absolutely loved my major. Like, I loved what I did for all 4 years. I think psychology was the right major for me because of my interest in mental health and just in general about the subject. I loved what I do and I loved learning about the subject too, as well as human development. I think over my 4 years, again, I kind of took those skills that I had learned early on about, creating and fostering community. And I had kind of brought that with me to Davis. I actually served as the director for the mental health initiative on campus for all 4 years of college. And I was part of student government. So, kind of what we did as the director, I would connect student government to the student body, to students on campus, and see how we can advocate for mental health on a deeper level and get students the help that they need and any barriers that may stop them from receiving mental health support. We would help work with them to kind of eradicate. So, through my work in MHI, I think I've learned a lot about the mental health community specifically and what advocacy truly means. And again, met some amazing people through that. And we actually hosted our mental health conference, which Davis hosts the biggest student run mental health conference in California. So we had been putting it on for 4 years during my time there. And each year I watched it grow more and more. And I watched more people get involved and more people receive a lot of support and being able to talk about mental health on our campus. It was beautiful to see.
So now that you've graduated, what are you doing now?
I'm currently taking a gap year. So I apply to medical school next year. I'm a pre-med student. And right now I'm just working. So I work at Swedish Hospital. I'm a phlebotomist. So I draw blood for patients at the ICU. I work night shifts. So I'm slowly used to that. That's been a task to get used to and fix my sleeping schedule. But currently I work as the NAMI Eastside Youth Programs Manager. So I work with all the high school students and give them guidance and support into their projects that they want to work on.
You mentioned NAMI. Just for our listeners who will not know what NAMI is, explain a little bit about what NAMI does. And then maybe you want to delve a little bit around the whole issue of mental well being and why that is so important at this young age.
Yeah. NAMI stands for National Alliance on Mental Health, and they do a lot of advocacy work. They're a nonprofit. They advocate for destigmatizing mental health and educating folks about why mental health and mental wellness is important. And they do this in all kinds of ways. Me specifically, in the project I work on, since I'm a youth programs manager, I manage the NAMI Youth Ambassadors. So these are a group of usually high school students that are passionate about bringing mental health into their high schools and talking more about it with young people. And through my conversations with them and through my own work, I think given this day and age and the current generation of technology and social media being ever so present, mental health is the most important and pressing issue of our generation, which is the younger generation. I've seen it impact Gen Z in so many different ways, good and bad. But I think it's definitely high time that we start talking about it. And I think my personal goals as a mental health advocate is to kind of bridge the gap between older generations that might have not grown up talking about mental health or might not have learned the importance of it, and bridging the gap between those older generations and the younger ones who maybe already know about mental health or have struggled with it themselves, and kind of getting everyone to come together of all ages to talk about mental health, talk about what it is, why it matters, and how it can impact all of us.
Talk a little bit about why the good and the bad of social media as it impacts your generation.
Yeah, I think nowadays everyone is on social media. Most of the youth I know spend honestly a majority of their time scrolling or have at least one form of social media app or software. And I think while it's been very good because I think it connects people from across the world, it can help teenagers that maybe are more socially reserved to open up to each other online and build a community that way. I think that's kind of a good part of it. But I think a bad part that I've also very much seen is one, it can kind of consume one's life. Scrolling on social media can give us that false hit of dopamine that our brains can get very addicted to. And this feel good hormone can be, when it's artificially produced, it can be very bad. And that's kind of what causes us to continue scrolling and scrolling and scrolling because we're looking for that feel good hormone. We want to feel good about what we're posting online, what people are saying about us. And this can be very damaging. It's a very damaging relationship. And I think for young people specifically, they'll go online and look for validation for things in their life. Oftentimes it's posting a picture and hoping my friends think I'm pretty, or I hope my friends think I look good in this picture. And it can come from seeking a lot of external validation. And oftentimes when they don't get that, it can really take a hit to their self-image. Kind of another thing I've seen is sometimes social media, because we are digital, it's very easy to think of the other person on the screen as not a real human being and just like a username on social media. So it can be very easy to engage in things like cancel culture, which is very prevalent in the youth. Basically, anyone that has a public platform says anything slightly wrong or problematic, they'll be canceled, be made to feel bad about it. And it's almost like they have no redemption towards what happened. People often forget that people using social media are real humans, and these are real people with real problems. And they're allowed to make mistakes, but I think that's kind of one of the caveats of social media that people often forget is that we are human still.
I mean, that's such a insightful piece that you've just told us. We kind of forget that, on social media, we are not just an image or a like or a arrow, but we are actually humans. And that does translate into emotions in both good and bad ways. Now, just turn a little bit towards purpose and just talk about why you believe purpose is important for you. Talk a little bit about how you use purpose when going gets tough.
Purpose has been something that I have never lacked, I feel. Since a very young age, I've known what I've been passionate about, what kinds of things I wanted to work on. I like to consider myself a very driven person. Once I know I want to do something, I'm very goal oriented towards that thing. As I've grown older and gone through college, I think purpose is one of those things that is ever evolving. When you're younger, your purpose might be to play outside, have fun, meet friends, etc. And then as you slowly get older, your purpose shifts towards careers, maybe your academics, what you want to do. I think while all these things as part of your purpose may change, your sole purpose of who you are as a person and why you're here, that really never changes. Some part of me is still that 7-year-old girl that whose purpose was to walk around and make everyone happy or talk to people, make new friends. Even now at 22, I think I still resonate with my 7-year-old self's purpose. While you are changing in your life and you develop new purposes, new goals that you want to meet, I think really who you are as a person and your sole purpose in life, that kind of never changes and it sticks with you.
Thank you very much. Let's end this conversation by you just sharing with us and to our listeners your one golden nugget of wisdom that you live by.
Yeah, I think for piece of wisdom, I haven't lived that much of my life yet. I still have a lot.
You've already given us a lot of wisdom here.
Thank you. In the time that I have lived, I think one golden nugget that I would give people is to live with intention. And I guess this kind of resonates with living with purpose. I think living with intention means to me to do everything, try everything that you think you want to do. And it means truly grounding yourself in that work. I think a lot of people often hesitate from trying new things because they think they're very stuck to a niche that they've been following. Like, I've been doing this all my life. Like, I can't switch now, or I only have skills in this area. I can't try something else. Living with intention is knowing what you can do, but taking the step to try the things that you can't do. And throughout my life, I have explored I've gone through life with an open mind, and I think it's opened me up to a lot of opportunities, meeting awesome people like yourself, getting to do the work that I do. And it's all about grounding yourself in that and being open minded to take on what's next.
Asha, it's been such a delight to talk to you, listen to your perspective. And I fully agree with you that everyone should live a life of intention, show up for life. Just show up and show up with intention in whatever you do. It's not just about your work or your academics, but it's about every single relationship that you have, every single conversation you have, every single interaction you have. If you have it with intention, it probably releases better dopamine.
I hope so.
So, thank you for listening to us on our episode of Living with Purpose. Again, remember, purpose is that renewable source of energy that drives humanity forward. Join us for our next episode. We continuously try and bring fresh voices, new voices, people from all over the world that are coming and sharing why living with purpose is the most important thing you can do. Thank you very much, Astha, for being part of our conversation.
Thank you so much.